This is HorseRacingNation.com handicapper Jared Horak with your video feature race of the week. This week's feature race, we're actually going to preview next Saturday's Preakness Stakes. We're expecting a full field. Let's look at the early pace scenario, see how that shakes out. It looks like we're going to have Dance City be part of the pace. He finished third in the Arkansas Derby. Flashpoint, he showed speed in 2 sprint races, then he stretched out in the Florida Derby and disappointed. Expect him to be aggressively handled for his new trainer, Wesley Ward. Shackelford, who set the pace in the Florida Derby and the Kentucky Derby, he'll definitely be up and be part of the early pace as well. The horse is stalking the pace. Astrology, he did not run in the Kentucky Derby. He ran in 2 other races, prep races, but he just wasn't ready for the big race. But now he's joined the Triple Crown Trail. He's going to be up there on the pace. A midnight interlude for Bob Baffert if he decides to run in this spot. He's a stalker. Mr. Commons for trainer John Sheriff is going to come in from Southern California. He's definitely going to be stalking the pace, along with Mucho Macho Man, who finished third in the Kentucky Derby, and he typically shows a good tactical speed. Horse is going to do their late running. Animal Kingdom, your Kentucky Derby winner. Dialed In will be coming from off the pace. He'll probably be coming from last, as he usually does. King Kanji as well will be running from off the pace. A few other horses that are expected to run in the Preakness Stakes. Norman as Bjornsson is probably going to run in it. And then Concealed Identity is going to be your local hope from Maryland. He's also expected to run. A Sway Away, who also ran in the Arkansas Derby. He finished 4th in that race. He's going to run. He either likes to stalk the pace or come from well off the pace. Now the Kentucky Derby was run at a slow pace. We weren't expecting it to be that slow. Wasn't expecting to be a breakneck pace, but nobody was expecting a 48 and change in 113. I think that helped Animal Kingdom. He was a synthetic turf-type horse, and typically in synthetic and turf races, the pace is slow early and then fast late. That's exactly how the Kentucky Derby was. It played right into Animal Kingdom's hands. He ran a big race. I think the pace scenario is going to be different. I think it's going to be quicker in Baltimore, and we'll have to see if Animal Kingdom can run the same kind of race at a different racetrack 2 weeks later under a different pace circumstance. He's going to be an underlay this time. He was good odds in the Derby, but this time probably not good odds. Maybe some negative races to look at. I think the Santa Anita Derby had come up as a negative race. Comet to the Top and Midnight Interlude didn't run well in the Kentucky Derby coming out of that one. So now Mr. Commons, who's joining the group here, is going to be coming out of that race. I think he has a lot of potential to be good in the future. I'm just not sure this is the right time for him. But never underestimate John Sheriff. He's one of the best trainers in the country. And if he's running in this race, he must think he has a shot. The Florida Derby seems to have come up a little bit negative. Dialed In, Flashpoint, Shackelford, they're going to be coming out of that one. In the Bluegrass Stakes, again, another race that didn't seem to come up too strong. King Kanji will be one exiting that one. I think one of the quicker prep races, and possibly a key one, the Arkansas Derby. Now, Arch had no shot in the Kentucky Derby. His saddle slipped. He had all kinds of problems. He ended up retiring and having surgery. He was injured. But the second place finisher in the Arkansas Derby, Nero, came back and flattered that race by running second in the Kentucky Derby. Now, a couple horses coming out of the Arkansas Derby, Dance City and Sway Away. I think they're both contenders in this next race. And then also a horse that had run in the Kentucky Derby that ran well, like Mucho Macho Man, the youngest member of the field. He's one that could move forward. He's got plenty of upside. He's got a lot of foundation. I think he can move forward with his running style and his class. He could run a good race, maybe turn the tables on a horse like Animal Kingdom in the Kentucky Derby. So that's a look. It's an early Preakness preview. And right now we're going to talk about the Super Screener. If you bought the Kentucky Derby Super Screener, I'm sure you were pleased. Many satisfied customers hit the trifecta in the Kentucky Derby. And I think this full field Preakness, it's perfect for the Super Screener. So if you go over to superscreener.com, you can learn a lot more about the product. And if Mike Shuddy does anything like he did in the Kentucky Derby, I'm sure you're going to be very pleased with it. And he did a great job on Kentucky Derby Day. And then also, if you would support Horse Racing Nation by subscribing to TVG. TVG, one of our partners, they have a special $150 wagering bonus. They have different tiers on the bonus based on how much you bet. So if you go over to HorseRacingNation.com, click on the TVG ads to find out more about the deal at TVG. And that'll wrap up this week's video race of the week. This is HorseRacingNation.com handicapper Jared Horak. Good luck at the races.